Once upon a time in a lush and vibrant forest, there was a tiny ant who lived with her family. From the very beginning, she was known for being wise, hardworking, and always ahead of others. She was respected by all the insects and animals in the forest. As time passed, however, something began to change inside her heart. Whenever she saw the beautiful peacock dancing in the clearings, she would think to herself, "Look at his beauty. Everyone admires him. Why does no one look at me?" When she saw the butterfly flying freely from flower to flower, she wished, if only I had wings, too. Why am I only crawling on the ground?" Even the squirrel made her jealous, leaping from one tree to another in the blink of an eye. Slowly, her heart filled with bitterness and resentment. She started to feel unhappy with her own life and envious of the lives of others. Day by day, she lost interest in her work. The ant that once gathered food before anyone else now stayed behind, distracted and gloomy while the other ants worked. They often asked her, "Why do you look so sad these days?" But she only smiled weakly and stayed silent. Deep down inside, she struggled with envy and despair, pretending to be happy while her heart crumbled. One day, the forest was struck by a fierce storm. In heavy rain, trees broke, rivers overflowed, and many animals lost their homes. The butterfly's wings became soaked and heavy. She couldn't fly anymore. The squirrel's tree collapsed, leaving her shivering on the ground. Even the proud peacock's colorful feathers were drenched, and he could not spread them to dance. The forest was in chaos, but deep underground, the ants' colony remained safe and strong. Their carefully built tunnels protected them from the storm. When the tiny ant looked out and saw the suffering around her, something broke inside. "I wasted so much time envying others," she thought, "but today they are the ones in trouble. Can I do something to help them?" At that moment, she made a decision. She gathered all the ants and said, "We must help others. Together we can save them." Hundreds of ants marched out in lines. Some carried the butterfly carefully on their backs to a dry place. Some built a bed of leaves for the trembling squirrel. Others cleaned the water from the peacock's feathers so he could lift his head again. The animals were stunned. How could such tiny creatures have such enormous hearts? When the storm passed and the sun shone again, the butterfly, squirrel, and peacock came to thank the ant. The peacock said, "I have never seen a beauty greater than yours." The squirrel whispered, "Today I learned true strength is not in show, but in service." The butterfly smiled. "You cannot fly and you may not shine, but you saved us all. That makes you the greatest." For the first time in her life, the little ant felt proud of who she was. She realized she was far more precious than she ever believed. From that day forward, she stopped comparing herself with others. She understood that every creature has its own unique purpose, and when we discover our true strengths and use them to help others, we become truly special. The story of the tiny ant reminds us that jealousy can make us blind to our own worth. We may waste our days envying the beauty of a peacock, the freedom of a butterfly, or the swiftness of a squirrel, without realizing that we to have our own special gifts. Our value doesn't come from what we don't have, but from what we do. True greatness isn't about being the strongest, the fastest, or the most beautiful. It's about being kind, helpful, and courageous. It's in these qualities that we find our unique worth. So let us celebrate our differences, appreciate our own strengths, and use them to make the world a better place. Remember, being small is never a weakness. A big heart makes the smallest one the greatest of all.